Well, experts in the extractive industry are warning of grave consequences if Ghana goes ahead to extract bauxite in the Atewa Forest. It's been estimated that 1.7 trillion will be spent in 2023 alone on clean technologies due to the dramatic spike in demand for metals and minerals worldwide. This has raised concerns among environmentalists, civil society and industry about the need to decarbonize the process for extraction. Co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantel, is warning any attempt by government to degrade the Atewa Forest will not augur well for the country. Between year 2000 and 2019, 3,264 kilometers square of forest was directly lost due to industrial mining, with 80% occurring in Ghana, Brazil, Indonesia, and Suriname. Ghana signed on to the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative in 2003 and is among 55 countries that have agreed to a common set of rules to promote good governance in the management of its natural resources. The Atewa Range is the site of an important forest reserve and the source of three major rivers. It contains ancient bauxitic soils. Experts say there's enough bauxite in this forest, but we must be cautious of the destruction that we can cause by thinking of exploiting these bauxites and other minerals in this forest.
Atewa has enormous resources that can generate revenues for the state. The medicinal plants, the water sources from here, a lot of the rivers drain from from this forest. We are talking about the Densu, we are talking about Brim, we are talking about Ayensu. They all take their source from the forest. So if we are going to destroy this forest, that invariably is going to mean that we are destroying our water sources, and therefore quantifying what the effect will be downstream. Those of us who rely on these rivers for drinking water is just unthinkable. And so we need at all costs to be able to identify certain land areas in this country that are no-go areas for mining, based on what purpose they serve and how they contribute to our own human development.
In the middle of the Atewa Forest is the Supon River, which feeds into the Birim River, a key source of drinking water for the people in the eastern region. We are currently at the Supon River in the Atewa Forest. You can see how clean the water is, but if you move just a little further from here, you will see that the water has been destroyed and you cannot even think of drinking the water. Deputy National Director of Conservationist Group, Arocha Ghana, Darrell Bosu, says the current high turbidity level of the river, which stands at 11.5 NTU, must prompt government to maintain its quality.
Most of these communities don't have access to pipe-borne water, so when these rivers flow out, that is where they fetch for their daily use and also for other domestic and industrial activities. And we believe that if we want to sustain the activities of communities and their livelihood and also their health, rivers like these, which is devoid of contamination, needs to be prioritized and protected. But what we have also seen is that you can't have clear rivers like these without forests. And that is why we believe that Atewa, which is on record to be a critical hydrological gem for Ghana, must be protected in the long term, because already, aside Sejimase, there are about 5 million other people who depend on rivers coming from the forest. And they go from people in the city, in Accra, to central region, and even to the eastern region, and even connecting to River Pra, which serves people in the western region. So it's clearly an important ecosystem that we cannot allow anything to touch it. Now, if you step out of this forest, you realize that the rivers there are very, very polluted. And it's all because there's illegal activities going on there.
Programs Officer West Africa at the Ford Foundation, Emmanuel Koyuli, says the next EITI conference, scheduled for June 13 this year, will deliberate on sanctioning member countries who disobey the rules on protecting their natural resources.
I think it's important to include sanctions into the process. Unfortunately, the EITI process, first of all, is voluntary, so it's not an initiative that can force governments to set. But it's important that once a country makes commitments, like Ghana and many other countries have made commitment to the process, that they include very stringent sanctions so that if you don't comply and ensuring that your communities are protected in this process, then you either are kicked out, not just being kicked out from the EITI process, but other sanctions, including financial sanctions. There's no point if we move away from fossil fuels through a process that destroys forests. So the simple message is that leave the forest alone.
The EITI standards advocates effective citizen participation. Mr. Koyeli says without such participation, there is a danger of serious environmental damage, corruption and social harm. Aisha Ibrahim, JoyNews, Atewa Forest.